Welcome back to First Take. Some unfortunate news that came out of Chargers training camp yesterday. You saw there center Tyler Biadasz out indefinitely after suffering damage to his ACL and additional injuries to his left knee during their joint practice against the 49ers. So his absence creates a major question mark for how the Chargers will protect Justin Herbert this year. This was their big free agent acquisition this offseason, Jordan, an offensive line that dealt with a ton of injuries last year to both of their tackles. They think they get the center position right, and now they're going to deal with a significant absence from Tyler Biadasz. So what does that mean for Justin Herbert?
Well, it's not ideal, right? I think there's 3 years in a row they've had a significant injury on the offensive line. Now, they did draft a kid out of Florida that was going to compete at that left guard spot. He played center in college, Jake Slaughter, so they can bump him over. Here's where I think the biggest change needs to be made, because at the end of the day, a center is a center. It's not the most important aspect of protecting the quarterback when you drop back and pass. But too many times in those 54 sacks that Justin Herbert had last year is deep drops, holding onto the ball, waiting for things to develop. And on one hand, that's kind of who Harbaugh's been, even back to his time at Michigan. That's what his quarterbacks did. They always held onto the ball longer. Mike McDaniel needs to have a huge influence in this offense because when he was at his best in Miami, 2023, they led the NFL in total yards and yards after the catch. 2024 is last year there, they had their quarterbacks got the ball out of their hands faster than any quarterback in the NFL, second to, I think, Rodgers at Pittsburgh. So the ball needs to come out quicker, and there's nobody better at designing those kind of unique, creative ways with motions, with last-second movement to get the ball into playmaker space quickly. That needs to be a little bit more of what this offense is. Take some of those hits off Justin Herbert. Don't just rely on your guys blocking better and blocking longer. You can attack that with scheme as well, and I think that's one of the things I'd like to see.
Yeah, it's a tough break because this year for Justin Herbert and the Chargers, conversation needs to end and confirmation needs to begin. It can't just be the conversation around, imagine how good he could be if.
Yeah.
Or he's the quarterback that was built in a lab. That Jordan Rodgers could play a quarterback his whole life, put max effort in and say, I will never be that guy. And I don't mean that to be insulting.
True, though.
That guy is built that way where you're like, I can't ever be that good, even when I'm a pro-level guy like Jordan. But it's all conversation. It needs to be confirmation. Win a playoff game. Be a top 5 finisher in the MVP conversation. And we always say no more excuses with Justin Herbert. And I believe that. They got him Mike McDaniel. They got him, obviously, Jim Harbaugh more than anything else. But this is also a fair excuse if you continue to lose guys along the offensive line. It is a fair excuse, but because it's happened so often, it needs to be confirmation this year, not conversation this year.
Yeah, it's real adversity again. I mean, with Sean Slater going into last season, Joe out for 11 games, that's real. But we talk about Justin Herbert according to what he doesn't have and not about what he's not doing. And I don't think we do that with the other top-tier quarterbacks. We definitely don't do that with Josh Allen and a lot of the other guys. We say, well, fine, you're facing adversity, but what are you doing about it? That's what the conversation has to be, I think, this season about Justin Herbert. Yes, this is a significant injury, but if you're a top-tier quarterback, those guys don't get the grace we often give to Justin Herbert in these situations. You either are or you aren't an elite quarterback. Time to show it.
Yeah, 54 sacks last year for him. That was a career high. They had the worst pass block win rate in the NFL, attributed to all the offensive line injuries. But a quarterback that is this experienced, this many years into his career, the excuses start dissipating. Offensive line injuries happen all the time in the NFL. His might have been more pronounced than other teams. Just certainly feels like the excuses are going to run out here soon for Justin.
A week 1 game in Australia.
Well, it continues to feel like it's trending that way, Greeny. But Aaron Donald ultimately has to give the sign-off, and then he and the Rams would have to rework his contract, being that he's scheduled to be paid $30 million. So there are issues to get through, but it does seem to be moving in that direction.
Tim, let's talk about Caleb Williams in Chicago. Their defensive injuries are a concern. How far can he carry this team if the defense doesn't get better?
I mean, I think he can carry them far because I think he's going to be, one of the best quarterbacks in the game, especially playing for Ben Johnson. Now, the caveat to that is it's a hard division. So as good as you can be on offense, that's great. If you can't stop people, there'll be a limit to your run.
Yeah, whatever their game is, take the over. And then finally, Jordan, everyone is talking about the Dallas rookie Caleb Downs. What can he bring to this defense in his first season?
Well, I think he's going to be the defensive rookie of the year. Instantly, he's the best football player on that side of the ball. Communication, leadership, tackling, all things that defense desperately needed. And Christian Parker is going to move him all over the place. Safeties were terrible in coverage last year for the Cowboys. They're instantly better in that area. And he's going to be a weapon. He can play at all three levels. He's going to be dynamic, man.
So, Shefty, I was listening, as I always do, to the Adam Schefter podcast.
Thank you.
And you just got to thinking about Caleb Downs, and it took you back a little bit to some names I remember vividly.
Nobody mentioned it. Nobody said anything. But as I was talking about Caleb Downs, and as I was thinking about all the things I've heard about him this summer, it came to me that back in 1981, way long time ago, 45 years ago, the San Francisco 49ers were putrid. They were ranked 26th in the league in defense. They drafted Ronnie Lott, 8th overall. They drafted two more rookie defensive backs, Carlton Williamson and Eric Wright, that they matched with Dwight Hicks. They had three rookie starters in the secondary, and Ronnie Lott that year became All-Pro. There has not been another All-Pro defensive back as a rookie in the last 30 years. The first one to do it was Patrick Peterson. The Cowboys feel like they got a steal with the 11th overall pick. Caleb Downs was rumored to be going higher. When you speak to the people in and around Columbus, they say none of this is a surprise to us. He's one of Nick Saban's favorites. And it sounds to me, I'm just connecting dots based on everything I've heard, he has the chance to have the type of impact on the Dallas defense that Ronnie Lott did on the 49ers defense back in 1981. A year after the 49ers drafted him, Ronnie Lott helped lead them to a Super Bowl title. Now, this is very early, and there's a lot that has to get done for what was the worst defense in the league last year. All I'm telling you is this guy feels like he's going to have a dramatic impact on the Dallas defense this season.
I love it. And in case you're at home and you don't know the history, you're saying, what does Nick Saban have to do with it? He started at Alabama, played there. Saban loved him. When Saban retired, he transferred to Ohio State. He became, in Mel's opinion, the second best player in this draft behind Fernando Mendoza. He just fell because he's a safety, and teams have this ridiculous idea that they need to draft based on position. So, Tim Hasselbeck, as we sit back and we look at Downs, and he's not the only one. They've made so many acquisitions on defense, so many pieces, fortifying with the trades they made last year, including Quinnen Williams. What kind of a jump do you think is a realistic expectation for this Dallas D going into the year?
I think they're the best team in the NFC East, so we'll just start there. And then a lot of times, we talk about the Cowboys all offseason for contract disputes and things like that. They're a legitimate contender. I think they're going to have the best offense, or close to it, the best offense in football. And now all of a sudden, when you look at all of the defensive acquisitions, change in scheme, all that, if they're just moderately better on the defensive side of the ball, they're a real threat. So, look, I think they are absolutely a Super Bowl contender. And if what Adam is saying in terms of the impact of Downs, now all of a sudden, pour a little gas on that theory.
What do you think, Jordan?
Yeah, I've sat down with Nick Saban talking about Caleb Downs, saying he's one of the smartest football players he's ever coached. And why does that matter? One of the worst areas that Dallas was on that side of the ball last year was giving up explosive plays, especially through the air. A lot of that, some is scheme. Part of that is alignment and understanding of what's coming. And Caleb Downs is the kind of guy that his instincts and identification are unbelievable. So the reason I mentioned communication as one of the things he's going to add right away is communicating on what the offense is doing. When they're in this alignment, think about Luke Kuechly. One of the reasons he's a Hall of Famer is because he could see things coming before they came. And that's what Caleb Downs is able to do at every level with Nick Saban, with Matt Patricia. That's going to instantly make all the other 10 guys around him on defense that much better.
So if that is the type of player that we're talking about, what did Luke Kuechly do for the Carolina Panther defense?
Yeah.
Right?
He makes
Super Bowl,
and he makes everybody around him better.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you, this defense is going to be better than people think. Everybody's expecting this awful, putrid defense, the way they were with the 49ers defense back in the early 80s. And when you get a player like this that thinks the way he does, that plays the way he does, that reacts the way he does, sometimes it transforms the entire unit.
I love the comparison, and I love Tim's confidence. Best team in the division. It'll be very interesting to watch.